So Trump and Mamdani have met, and Trump actually handled it pretty well. They're friendly for now. I give it about a week until Trump launches another, nuclear tweet against Mamdani or a nuclear truth. It's crazy name, Truth Social. I give it about a week, but as of right now, they seem to be cordial. Now, people in the comment section are like, the media and the leftists and the liberals want them to be at each other's throats so bad. Are you even alive? Like, have you seen what's been going on social media between these two before they met in person? These are not friends. They're not, bro. Like, I don't even bro, do you bro, average everyday uninformed voters are actually going to be the death of this country. Literally going to be the end. But Trump and Mamdani have been getting on quite well. Trump, launches his usual lies about ending 20 wars in 2 minutes and all that bull. But they handle themselves well, and we're gonna see what went on and just commentate as we see fit.
And Rwanda, that was 10 million people dead countries, including it. I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including India, Pakistan. You could even go. In fact, they're coming here in a week or two. Go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many, and the one I thought would have been for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango, and now. You just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian. And it's a shame.
What happens if President? I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing...
Socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk...
Trump right there, that was masterful. He did not want to be called a fascist to his face in front of everybody, in front of the entire world. So he immediately took control of the room, took control of the media, and said, you can say yes. It's just easier to say yes and explain it. Trump shut that entire interaction down. He stopped Mamdani from being like, yeah, he's a fascist. What do you like? Yeah, he's a fascist. What do you want me to say? He stopped that from happening. Very masterful room control by Trump. I sound like one of those YouTubers who's like, and then Trump breathed through his nose. This is a signal. It signifies dominance. It signifies destiny. It signifies power. One of those people. But that was actual masterful room control. I can't even lie.
Risk either giving up a partner or giving up his dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of...
Well, he'll have to like it. And if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been a good deal. That could have been done, too, if you had the right president. But you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, the cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics, so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President?
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost.
What? Bro, I've been warning you all. Conservatives are conservatives, they're not good at governing, okay? If you let conservatives run America long enough, it will turn into a third world shithole. They always go on the third world. They mean black and brown. Trust me, these people are very much capable of third world activity. Look at Oklahoma, okay? Like, without being a part of the United States, it'd be a fucking shithole. So, the reality of the situation is, MAGA will not waste any resources in terms of trying to compel people to agree with them. They will adopt any ideology, they'll utilize any term, they'll use the term affordability, and the reality is, MAGA as a movement is just more seductive. Even if you remove the hatred from it, the hats, the slogan, the movement, the flag hugging, the fake patriotism, the I love the flag. You know, then they beat you over the head with it if Trump doesn't win an election, but that's besides the point. These people are better. They're psychologically better. They're better at socialization. They're better at reaching people. They're better at getting along with people. I mean, right now, the left is trying to find a way to, like, attack Taylor Swift. The left is so good at making enemies. So good at turning allies into enemies and just, like, making enemies in general. The right is already looking for their new messaging pivot. And all it takes is messaging. If you can brainwash people well enough and successfully enough, they will sit there and be pacified. As the world burns around them, as long as you keep telling them Trump made everything affordable, they will believe it. Donald Trump and MAGA are gearing up for the biggest lie and angular, like, this kind of like new angle of of approach. Like, they're planning and prepping this, while the left still has no real movement in Washington, not talking about Mamdani, as we have no real movement in Washington, as Democrats are voting on resolutions to basically condemn Mamdani. Trump and his sycophants are basically taking claim for ideas and policies that they never had any intention of actually enacting. Donald Trump, the man who's rolling back tariffs that are just killing the American people, I told him to make New York affordable. That was me. That was actually me when he was born. I said, Zoran, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. I gave it to him when he was in the crib. Not like how the black people, I mean the actual crib. The real crib, the baby crib. I gave him the plan. When he was born, I gave his mother the plan. I said, Zoran, you gotta do it. You gotta make history. This is basically he's basically like stealing this nigga's whole flow, word for word, bar for bar. It's crazy. It's crazy. Zoran, don't let him do it to you.
You know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. It's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something on that?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law.
By the way, inflation is not at a normal number right now. Inflation is high. Just so you all know, he's lying yet again, successfully. He even knows how to do it. He lies and then picks a new reporter. You can't make this shit up.
Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to You want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want. We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And, you know, we actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
But to be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned that Jewish New Yorkers are welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you've threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say, you know, subject to what policies are being set. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see him come down, ideally, by building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Now, this is, and people will sit there and be like, the media wants them to be against each other so bad. And you're the president of the United States on camera saying, I was going to cut funding to the entire state of New York, the city of New York in specifics, if somebody wins the election who I don't want winning. If someone who I don't want to win wins, I will cut federal funding to, bro. This is, and this is why, like, this bullshit centrism is ridiculous, bro. Like, people are actually stupid. Actually dumb. And the reason why Trump's now all of a sudden backing off is because Zohran Mamdani probably walked in there and it was like, dude, like, you know, let's work. Like, if New York becomes better under me, it makes you look good. I'll even give you credit. I'll even be like, you know, President Trump helped me here. President Trump helped me there. Mamdani is so focused on just helping people. He's not even trying to score political victories over Trump. He's not trying to walk Trump into a trap. He's not even trying to set Trump up for an L. He's just like, dude, help me, help you, help me, help you. Okay, like, let's work together, and you can shine and I can shine, and we can both look good coming out on the other side of this. That's probably the appeal that Zoran Mamdani made. He probably complimented Trump a lot. He probably gave Trump a lot of, a lot of praise, a lot of adulation, expressed probably some level of admiration for some of Trump's, somewhat slightly redeemable qualities, if there's any of those left. And of course, Trump, whenever he's given any slight a bit of praise or admiration, immediately folds, capitulates, and I like the guy. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. It works on him over and over and over again. So with that being said, I mean, like, people have to realize, like, this is not a representation of what the relationship between these two is going to be like forever. I think, I actually do think that they'll be fighting again in like a week or two. But Mamdani's playing this very well. Trump is playing this very well. And yeah.
Okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think he's, I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea, because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you, but a very quick one for the Mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that
Well,
goes.
but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. He's working very hard for him to be. That's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. The plane takes you 30 minutes, and driving takes you a little.
These are the same people who will laugh as the planet's burning up, as the planet lights on fucking fire for the sake of billionaires running fucking, oil companies. They'll literally destroy the entire planet. But one guy promoting a better, greener tomorrow, a better tomorrow, a more affordable tomorrow, a more efficient tomorrow. I need you to take a bus. You take a plane. I need you to take a bus. It's like, bitch, burn in hell. Burn in hell. I'm tired of these fucking people. The Antichrist is sitting right next to them. How about you ask him a question? Crazy lady, like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like, this is like, why is it like? I'm starting to turn into one of the people in the fucking comment section. Why is the media so ridiculous? The media is trying so hard to be assholes. Actually, maybe the comment section was right. Jeez Louise. Like, what the fuck? Like, bro, I know for a fact, for people watching like this country from other parts of the planet, I know this shit has to look crazy. I know this shit look crazy.
You could clear up some confusion around a Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie and fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know them very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters. Beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
Just a reminder for the both sides people. The President of the United States was just told that the Coast Guard is no longer considering swastikas, Confederate flags, and any other form of white nationalist symbolism to be hate symbols. And he says, I know the Coast Guard very well. I know them very well. They're very great. Very great. Yachts with guns. So great. I know them very well. The end. Next question. What the fuck? Bro, if I was a president and someone told me that, I'd say, I'm going to get on it right away. I want members of the Coast Guard of all demographics to feel safe, to feel secure in their service of the nation. You don't get that from Trump. You get the usual spiel. I know them very well. I know Lucifer very well. I know the devil very well. We're not asking that. But thanks for letting us know. We kind of assumed, but we're not asking that. Like, it's crazy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction, and I think you really have a chance to make it great.
The Democrats, you can the Democratic Party is trying to find a way to strangle Mamdani in his crib, and the Republicans are trying to find a way to maneuver and claim they've always been for affordability this whole time. Now, Trump is glazing Mamdani, hyping Mamdani up, and as he's getting cozy with Mamdani and all of this and saying, I was always for affordability, what are the Democrats doing? Trying to find a way to destroy Mamdani. The Democrats have finally had something akin to victory handed to them, and they're trying to destroy it. You have a brown man of Indian and Arab heritage who's Muslim standing in the fucking Oval Office. This nigga put his balls on the table, big pause, and said, I'm a democratic socialist. He's fucking brown, and he said that in the fucking White House. That's a real nigga. Now, what are the Democrats in Washington doing? People who are born in the United States, right? People who are like black and white, like Americans who are considered standard American, right? Like they don't have scary names and scary religions. What are they doing? Trying to find a way to strangle this man before he gets too strong. And what's their replacement for him? Nothing. They have nothing to replace him with. So the Democrat establishment is just, it's a waste of my fucking time. Waste of your time too. They're on borrowed time. This is like the Republican Party when Trump came in, fighting the inevitable. Get with the times. The conservatives are about to pretend to be for affordability, and the Democrats are still actually fighting affordability politics. I don't understand it. It's unbelievably stupid. You're doing resolutions to condemn socialism. What's your fucking opposition plan? We're not Donald Trump. That's your plan? Well, we're not Trump. It's like, yeah, that only works when he's in office. What happens when he's gone? What happens when he's gone and some other leader comes along and seduces the American people with some ethno-nationalistic, Christo-fascist promise of a greater America? What are you going to do then? Nothing. You will do nothing because you as a political party, the Democratic Party, you are done. You're done. You're done. You have neo-Nazis, Christo-fascists, and democratic socialists with more fucking political clout than all of you combined. You're done. You're done. You're literally finished. So with that established, I think it's high time that the Democrats admit when they're fucking finished. You're done. You're finished. You're cooked. And it seems like Trump is glazing Mamdani. I think Mamdani went in there, played it smart, appealed to Trump's ego, and Trump came out thinking they're friends or treating him like a friend. And Trump has been very strategic and calculated throughout this entire meeting. It seems like he knows he's in a very bad position. His popularity is in the fucking tubes. He's been opposing the release of the Epstein files. He's been trying to starve Americans and being told to not starve them by the fucking courts of this country. Donald Trump knows his image is in the fucking tubes. So what he's now trying to do, Donald Trump is now trying to cozy up to Mamdani and angle from this position of, I've always been for affordability. Just don't really look at the Heritage Foundation plan. Lying, just lying to everybody, pretending to be in the favor of affordability. Fuck all of that. The Democratic Party is an embarrassment. You're letting a guy from Uganda who's Arab, Indian, and has a background of faith in Islam in the fucking Oval Office in a place. You know, Ku Klux Klansmen and white nationalists all around the nation have had strokes and heart attacks seeing him say that. He called himself a democratic socialist in the fucking Oval, and you idiots still don't have the balls to mount up an actual war against this pussy punk bitch regime. This isn't even their party anymore. Mamdani should have just been like, yeah, I'm the leader. He should have just been like, yup. Many people are saying it. He should have been like, yo, you should have been like, many people are saying it. Yeah, he should have fucking owned it. He should have owned it. Because who's really the leader? Chuck Schumer? Chuck Schumer's cooked. He's done. He's done. Who? Hakeem Jeffries? Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. Unless you guys have a plan to summon up Obama again, which I doubt that's going to work, or you have some kind of super soldier serum to inject into Biden, because that would actually, yo, if Trump and Biden had another ultimate, like if Biden defeated cancer and became a revitalized super soldier serum, you think Obama and Trump would be the showdown? I'm sorry. Like, I need to see Biden and Trump go at it. I gotta see that shit. I gotta see them go at it. I gotta see them go to war one last time. One last time. So outside of, you know, super soldier serum for Biden and, you know, convincing Obama to throw away what's left of his private life to save the American people from their own stupidity, what plan does the Democratic Party actually have? Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. So, Trump is glazing our new leader, Zoran Mamdani. Cheers to probably the end of the country. Cheers. But yeah. He's glazing the future of our party. So now we need to figure out how to outmaneuver these fucks before they start claiming to have always been for affordability. We'll just have to figure it out as we go on. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.